I didn't deserve to be a professional player. We had teammates, like they were just there to play football. Their mentality was a different level.
I came with the idea that in the US, soccer is not as developed as in South America. I think having an agent that you trust to give you access to like global markets that you don't have access. The US have a lot of physicality. It kind of like changed my mindset.
You gotta have the right mindset. You gotta focus, you gotta do extra training, you gotta develop. I signed my first professional contract when I was 18 years old. At the beginning, when I came to America, I kind of did understand the difference between NAIA, Division 2, Division 1.
Guys, I must say, to see these three people in a room 4 years ago, if we were not in Durham, New Hampshire at Scorps or Libby's, I would say you're crazy. I would say you're crazy.
For sure.
4 years ago, to think about like college and everything to where we are now, that's amazing. Guys, I'm really excited to talk to you both today. I mean, it's been a while since we saw each other. Tavo, how you been, man? What you been up to? What you been doing?
Good, bro. Life after college, it's been quite surprising, you know.
Yeah.
Always, when I came to the States, I thought I was going to be always pro player. And the transition it's been great. I worked a little bit in corporate, and then I moved into soccer, which I love. Right now I'm the head of video analyst at Rhode Island FC, so it's great, no complaints there.
So what does video analyst mean? Like, because I feel like there's a lot of different things maybe you're doing. Like, what on a day-to-day do you do?
Yeah, so my main job is to analyze the opposition. That's mostly my job. And during practices, I analyze our own team, make sure that the players are ready for the weekend to face the opposition that we're going to play, and make sure the coaches also understand the strategy that the opposition team is going to implement for us to try to beat the team.
Interesting. And Pivo, what's been going on, bro? You good?
No, yeah, all good. How about you, bro?
Good, bro. Been good. What you been up to?
So right now I'm a coach for NCAA Division 3 school. It's such a little bit different, right? When you're at the pitch training every day, and right now you're the coach guiding the players.
Did you always want to be a coach?
So was not the plan at the beginning. So first, just to get started, coming from Brazil, right? I always had the mentality to come to the US, being a pro. I had to give up my professional contract when I was playing for Academy in Brazil. Had opportunity to come here overseas, here in the US. Played 1 year for NAIA school. Didn't speak English at all. Had to learn. So after that, after 1 year transitioning, I got an opportunity to play with you at New Hampshire. Played there for 4 years. And at the beginning, I had the mentality to get drafted, that goal, but I saw the reality was a little bit different. So I was more focused helping the team to be success, getting my degree, and then I had opportunity to do my master's and be like a grad student. So yeah, I took that opportunity, and since then I have been recruiting players, traveling all over the world, have been to Europe, specific in Germany, have been to South America, in Brazil. So yeah,
it's interesting because you both came with the idea to be a professional soccer player. So Tavo, I'll start with you. Like, coming to the US, because you obviously grew up in Mexico playing at a really high level. I've seen your highlight video in these massive stadiums. I remember we were watching it and I was like, wow, this guy is unreal. Like, why did you come to America? At what point did you decide, okay, I want to go to America?
Yeah, always in my house, my mom always emphasized the importance of like getting a degree. So in Mexico, always try to do both. But I reached to a point, Pumas sent me I played for Pumas, the whole academy. Pumas sent me on a loan to Atletico de San Luis. And I reached to a point that I wasn't happy playing in Mexico anymore. I don't know. I kind of like wanted something different, you know. I wanted a new environment. One of my best friends was in Houston University, Houston Baptist College, something like that, playing college, and I see his pictures, I see everything. One time I had a conversation with him and he told me everything about college, and I was like, I decided to go, especially because the US gives you the possibility to get a degree but also play a very high level and still have the chance to play pro. So I decided to come here, and UNH was the perfect scenario historically to do that, to get a good degree and also still have the chance to play pro.
Did you have the same agent as Alejandro?
I did.
Okay.
Same agency.
So it's interesting because there's a lot of players that in America, they feel like they have to leave America to go pro, but there's all of these internationals coming to America to be pro. So someone might be listening to this and be like, well, hang on a minute, Tavo's in Mexico, because I speak to a lot of players that tell me they go to Mexico for trials. Why didn't you just stay in Mexico if you wanted to be pro?
Well, I knew, I wanted something different. The US was something that really excited me, because in Mexico I played the whole level, I reached the first division at some point, I played in San Luis on a loan, but I got to a point that I feel like I wanted something different, and the US could offer me that, because in San Luis I couldn't study anymore, and always has been a goal for me to get a degree. So I was like, I'm gonna try something new, especially I wanted a completely different experience. You know, I'm from Veracruz, I'm from the beach, I didn't know the snow, have never played in the cold, I barely spoke English, so there were so many things that would help me to get that sense of like new environment completely.
And Bruno, you said that you left a pro contract in Brazil to go NAIA. Someone might be listening to that like, what the hell? He wasn't even going to like the ACC or to a top D1 school to go to Madonna. Like, what made you be like, okay, I want to go to America?
Okay, so the first thing was like, my goal is always to being a professional player. I signed my first professional contract when I was 18 years old, but I was playing with the U20 team. Sometimes I was training with the first team, and I was going to my last year in my contract, right? When you're going to your last year in contract, you're still playing with the youth team, you probably are not going to get opportunities with the first team, right? So I saw, okay, in Brazil there's like 700 pro clubs, but it's very hard to get paid a lot of money, right? So I was in my mind, okay, should I go to a small club, get like some money, or like have an opportunity to the United States where I can study and I can still play like a high level football, right? At the beginning, when I came to America, I kind of did understand the difference between NAIA, Division 2, Division 1, but I knew I couldn't go to Division 1 at the beginning because of my English level. I couldn't pass the TOEFL test because when I came to America, I couldn't say, hey, how are you? That's something that, but my goal is like play 1 year for NAIA, have a good stats, have a good season with the team. We were able to qualify for the Nationals. We made the Sweet 16. I think I had a good season as a freshman year. I got a lot of assists, got a couple goals as well. Was the time after 1 year playing for the NA school, I was like, okay, that's time to move on. Where I got opportunity to play for University of New Hampshire.
How was the transition from NAIA to Division 1?
Yeah, at the beginning it was very tough because I would say NAIA, there are a lot of very good players, but there are more space on the ball, and it's not that physical like Division 1. So some games I had a lot of time on the ball, like the pace of playing, like I could think, like I had more time to think, right? When I made the transition to Division 1, it's like I had like 2 seconds to think, and at the beginning I was just struggling a little bit. I think like the freedom playing NAIA, I was able to do whatever that I wanted. That's why I got like a good stats, like a good season. But then when I went to Division 1, it's a lot of film session. You know, at UNH, we were having like at least 30 minutes every day, like scouting teams, like talking. But this is something that I never had that before. And so my first year, my first 2 seasons, was kind of like I was struggling a little bit to understand that.
Because you went from Division 2 to Division 1.
Yeah.
How was the difference from Division 2 to Division 1?
Well, my story is a bit different because, as Bruno said, in Madonna he had a season. I didn't have a season because I came during COVID year, and my story was a bit different. I was gonna go to UNH since the beginning, but then my grades in Mexico weren't the best, so I made a transition to Franklin Pierce because my grades were good enough to get into Franklin Pierce D2. The level in soccer was great, but I didn't have a season, so I couldn't really tell you. Making the transition to D1 was hard in everything.
Why? So you played like professional level in Mexico, and then you go and play Division 1 college soccer. To someone, they might be like, I think the Mexico would be way higher level. So how was transitioning to college soccer?
The transition was, in terms of the team, everybody welcomed you fantastically. Like, it was so good. The problem came, I think it was more my mindset. Because I don't know if this happened to Bruno too, but like I came with the idea that in the US soccer is not as developed as in South America. You know, in South America you play soccer since you are 4, you're always kicking the ball, and I always thought in my head that in the US the sport wasn't as developed. So I came thinking like, fuck, I'm gonna be easy. It's gonna be easy. I'm gonna dribble everyone. I came from a good environment. I came from a good level in Mexico. What happened? I reached a wall. It wasn't easy. The language was hard in school, so my first year was very hard. Those things, and I would say mostly because of my mindset.
But I think that you were a very successful college soccer player. I think that you won a lot. You did a lot of great things. You achieved a lot. So you say you struggled your freshman year. How did you adapt your freshman year to your senior year? How did you get over that?
Yeah, so first, then after that year, I realized the level, and I kind of like changed my mindset and said like, okay, this is a level. I need to work hard. Especially, I found the US have a lot of physicality that we don't have in South America, or at least not in Mexico. So that's something that I need to adapt. I need to get better. So during the spring, the thing with the US, the college soccer, the season only lasts 3 months. So then you have 9 more months to get into shape, to get stronger, to get better at the ball, to watch video, to adapt. So I use those months very wisely to kind of like try to play my second year. Also, in Mexico, I was always a winger. So I feel like in the beginning, I don't know if Bruno can agree with this, but I didn't fit the system that we were playing at UNH. So I also adapt in my position, try to play as a fullback.
Interesting. And so I wanted to talk about, like, for both of you, like playing college soccer. Bruno, what did you learn from playing college? Or actually, what was the point where you decided or you realised you were not going to be pro? Because you come to the US, want to be pro, have a good season in NAIA, go D1. At what point does your mindset shift? Like, okay, maybe I'm not going to be pro, I want to do something else.
Yeah. So I think the first mistake coming from international players is like, you're coming to the US, is going to be easy. Okay, I played in Brazil, I played a good level, but when you come to a different country, like Tavo was saying, a different language, a different type of football, you need to adapt. In my mindset, when I went to Division 1 school, I still want to have my freedom, right? I want to like dribble people, like I want to do whatever I wanted. But the coach was like, no matter how technical player you are, as you guys remember, I was kind of a technical player, like good first touch, quality on the ball. But the coach looked at my face, was like, no matter how quality you are, if you don't do what I'm asking for, you're never gonna play. So at the beginning, I couldn't accept that. I could see why like those players are playing instead of me. I was more trying to blame the coach at the beginning, but I realized that was not his fault. I had to look to the mirror, I had to look to myself and see what I need to do different to start earning minutes on the team. It's not like being started right away, start having the minutes back, starting getting the trust again. So I had to realize that they're not gonna play for me. I need to adapt with the football. I need to adapt the way that our team play. As you know, UNH, the time we're there, we're a very successful team. Every single year, winning the conference, qualifying for the nationals, right? Why did coach would change the way we're playing just because of me? So I realized it. That was like, okay.
What was the point that you realized that?
Was after my second year when you left, and was the time, okay, this is not going the way that I want, so I need to change myself. Was on the time, was like summer after the spring season, I decided to go back to Brazil, just focus on my training and my mindset. Spend time with my family, spend time with my friends, but focus in training. Focus, so when I go to preseason again, I'm gonna show to the coach that I'm there, I'm ready to play. I'm not gonna be complaining if I'm not having minutes or anything, right?
How was your relationship with the coaching staff?
At the beginning was not the best one, to be honest. I had a lot of respect by the coaches, like everything they won was top. But I think was a kind of my fault, right? Because I wasn't playing, so I thought like, oh, that's the coach's fault. When I understood that, preseason, we always had like the gray versus blue. I had such a great performance. And that's the time I start like training better, being consistent every day, because I believe like college soccer, being consistent in trainings, it's very key. Because the coaches, they need players, they're ready to play games, they're ready to perform. That's kind of where is going college soccer right now, right? So I started enjoying more myself. at the beginning, I was putting a lot of pressure on me. I was like, oh, I'm not playing. I was not showing happiness in training, so I couldn't perform my best. When I realized it, I was like, hey, I'm in college. It's very serious, but I'm gonna have fun playing. So that's the time I started doing better in training, being more consistent, and I started earning more minutes on the team, which made my relationship with the coaches awesome. But I think, like I was saying, at the beginning it was all my fault, but when I understood that, made my career like so much nicer, because we can talk a little bit about UNH, right? It's the team, amazing, the teammates, top, the coaches, awesome, the community. We knew a lot of people, right? Like we had a lot of friends outside soccer, which made our experience as a student athlete so much better.
How would you say your overall UNH experience was?
Was a top level. Like was, if I could go back 4 or 5 years ago and go back to UNH and play 4 years in college soccer, I want to go back, because was something that I'm always going to remember for the rest of my life. The friendship that I had, the level that I played. We got to travel a lot. We had such a great experience. We played big games. We played teams that won the nationals. We played against top teams. We had more than 6,000-7,000 fans during our games, something that it's very hard to see in college soccer, right? So, yeah, it was amazing.
and you, Tavo, how would you say, because you obviously had your transfer, how would you say your overall experience of college soccer, how was it?
Fantastic, man. It was... Every single year you see many different things. Like, college soccer is such a top level that you don't see it until you leave the experience. Like, all the fields, like there are so many facilities that have way more things that professional teams in the whole world. You've seen like top teams like Manchester United and some teams that come over the summer saying amazing things about, I don't know, I think they've been to Wake Forest, mostly the ACC. But college soccer gives you really the chance to perform at your highest level, still have a great experience out of the field, and also get a good degree, get friends forever, meet people from all over the world. So,
what would you guys change? I'm trying to think about like college soccer. There's a lot of things that I would change. Well, not a lot of things, but like about my experience at UNH. Like, I wish that we didn't go out as much. I wish that we were a bit more focused and a bit more locked. Well, I mean, me personally, I don't know about you guys, but me with the two French guys, I wish that we were more focused. You know, but I would say that my college soccer experience was amazing. I think that I learned so much, like hubs, like, because I also played at a Division 2 school, which we were really bad, really not a good team, tactically not very good, and like hubs gave me a massive, and she gave me a massive chance to like play at a high level. I'm really grateful for that. And I learned so much at UNH. Is there anything that you guys would change about your college experience? Or
No, I wouldn't change that. I would say my mentality as a senior, if I had that in my freshman year, I think my experience would be way better, because like the way you're saying about hubs, right? Top coach, the way he was scouting teams, it's a different level. For me, when I was playing as a left back, I knew everything about their wide winger. And then when we were playing the game, that was a perfect scout. So we knew everything about every single player, the way they play. Okay, sometimes the teams might change formations just because they were playing against us. Could be a possibility, right? But in terms of scouting, making us ready for the game was something like top level.
And that's something that you're doing now, right, Tavo?
yeah.
So I want to talk about your transition from, because obviously you're both in kind of like coaching roles now. Your transition from college to coaching, talk to us about like how that happened, because there'll be a lot of players that were like, I wish that I had your job. I wish it. How did you get your role?
Yeah, definitely. That's such a interesting story. So always, why did I study economics is because I wanted to get into corporate America. You know, have a big job, wear suits, like live in the big cities, Boston, New York, Washington. That was like my next dream after soccer. But then I worked a few months in corporate America, even 2-3 months, and I don't like it. I didn't like it. It wasn't for me.
Why?
I feel like I wasn't free. I was working from 9 to 4, always doing things that I didn't like, and then I was getting home. My head was about to explode because I wasn't doing things that I like. And then one summer, Rhode Island had the chance to use Brian's facilities. So then one day in that transition over, like, I know I'm not going to be a professional player, but I don't want to be in corporate America, so I'm trying to figure out what to do. I talked to the head analyst at that moment. He's now the head analyst in San Diego FC. I talked to him. I told him if I can shadow him. After a week of shadowing him, I absolutely love the job, and I was like, I want to do this. So then, for so many reasons, Rhode Island couldn't hire me at that point. Then I went to Houston, work as a coach. I didn't want to be a coach, especially because that's not my background. It's not what I want to do. Not your passion. Yeah. Not my passion. And then my friend was going to get the job at El Paso, but then all of a sudden he got the job in San Diego. So then he recommended me in El Paso. The head coach at El Paso interviewed me, and I got the job.
Interesting. So that's a lot of things that happen very quickly. Is that like over 6 months or a year or very quickly? Or
a year. I always have that mindset of like things happen for a reason, and I always thought in my head, if I want to do this, then I'm going to find a way to do it.
But that's a big risk, because I'm assuming that you have a corporate job, nice salary, good money, comfortable, you do your work, you go home, you have the weekend to chill, but you were like, I want more. I want to take a risk. I want to take a coaching job, move across the country. Did you see that as a risk?
Not really. I mean, it was a risk, but in my head, I always grade better be in peace with myself, like being happy. For me, at that moment, success didn't come of like having money. I didn't care about the money because my career is only starting, and I feel like this is a turning point. If I go into corporate, I want to stay in corporate. But if I want to soccer, then I want to stay in soccer.
It's interesting because like I have this conversation a lot, and a lot of my friends want to work in football, and I feel like all of us, we've done a lot of things that we hated. Like I've been coached at clubs that I hated, but I just did it to get the experience. The first year of when we were doing the agency, I just did it in crazy hours and had like 3 jobs at a time. And like you need to like ask for help and like, hey, can I shadow you for free? Like I don't expect anything, but I'm just going to put in this work, effort, and then you go somewhere and you leave a good impression. Like when you were interviewing for these roles or you were having these experiences, what do you think made you successful to work in football?
I would say grind is a word. No, I don't know if it's grind.
Yeah, grind. It's like work hard.
I was hungry. I was coming into the office at 7:30. I was leaving at 4. Not a single money. Of course, I was also doing my MBA at the time, so I wasn't there all the time. But when I was free, I was there. No money. And I feel like they saw that. And also on the side, I was doing courses, I was taking classes, I was learning from him, learning from there. So I would say that's the main thing. And again, like at that point, I didn't care about the money. I care about like developing my career. And I knew that if I get to a position, then the money will come by itself. Everything will come after.
Absolutely. And Bruno, like your transition from playing to coaching, how was your transition?
Yeah, at the beginning, you gotta understand, right? You're not the player anymore. You're gonna be a coach, and you're gonna be guiding the players, trying to help them to improve, to develop as a player, right? So I had to understand that. The good thing, I was fresh. I was just a student athlete, right? Had a career in college soccer, so I kind of understood what the players were feeling. The head coach, of course, he wants to make a team to win, right? A project like either like a short term or a long term, but I was the person that was talking out, this is the way the players feeling, like, so I think that combination with me and my head coach, Coach Joe, that he was our assistant coach for one semester at UNH, was great because I kind of like, I was teaching the players the easiest way to be successful. So that's something that. But my transition was such a great, because I had opportunity to travel like to Germany, to Brazil.
What do you like most about coaching?
Coaching, I really like the recruiting part. So when we start watching the highlights, watching the full 90 minutes, right? That's something I was like, oh, I kind of like this player. But for our level, it's a little bit different. Sometimes when we see like a top player, sometimes this player don't have the budget, don't have the requirements that the school is looking for. So I gotta take a step back, right? I gotta kind of trying to look players for our level, but they're sure gonna do a good job.
I want to talk about this, like recruiting in college, because there'll be a lot of people listening to this that are trying to get recruited to go and play in college.
Yeah.
When you're recruiting a player to come and play for your college team, like, what makes you say yes to a player? Like, what are you looking for? How do I stand out? How do I get a college soccer offer?
Soccer itself, the first thing that I look for the players personally is their quality on the ball and their quickness, right? A player that is like checking the shoulders, like having like a good first touch and playing quick. That's something that I really like for like more midfielders. For attacking players, I really like players that are good holding the ball, not losing the ball, but also good taking 1v1s, kind of like shift players. If we go to like a fullback, of course, players with the quality to go forward, getting crosses, but we need like a box-to-box guy, a guy that can play like a full 90 minutes, that can be good attacking, but also be good defensively. For a center-back thing, guys like good duels, like air duels, right? Very good 1v1 defense, but also the way that we play, building out from the back, right? So have that quality and understand when to play short and when to play long as well. And with the keepers, we like keepers going out for crosses, like winning the ball, but also with like players, keepers like being comfortable using his feet. Because I think nowadays with the football, it's very key that the goalkeeper know how to play as well, so we can keep the possession and we can take the best decision. So
I fit the profile that you're looking for, right? I'm what you just described. How do you find me? How do I find you? How do you watch me play? How do you evaluate me? At what point does it go, okay, Sam, here's your offer?
Okay, so the first thing, if we're going to recruit players from America, of course we're going to be going to showcase, or another thing that we do as well. If there's some player that texts us, I end up watching their highlights, I kind of like. So the first thing, I have like an intro call to the player, just to understand the player's goals, everything. If I like the player, I ask the player, hey, when is your next game? Or can I watch your training session? So because we don't want to recruit players just watching the highlights, we want to make sure the player will be good enough for college soccer, right? So I really like to watch the player in person to see, is like, okay, this player can be like can be our top 20 players. This player is gonna be started right away, or no, this player will be more like a developing player. For international players, it's very hard to go overseas a lot, right? But I was able to go to Germany, I was able to go to Brazil, so watch players close where I could recruit a couple players like that. But also having a lot of networking is a key. Knowing agencies that has a good connection and understand the player, because sometimes we just have the highlights, we have their full 90 minutes, so we have a question mark. It's like, yes, I really like this player, I really like watching those games, but there is a question mark. Is this player coming here, is he gonna be good or not gonna be good? Most of the players, they do a pretty good job, but we gotta understand that international players, they need a period to adapt, so we gotta give some time, because when you're playing Europe, coming to the US, the transition is a little bit different, right? So we give them some time, we teach the college soccer, not the football in Europe, right? So that's how they understand that, and you start performing better and adapting with the US soccer.
So you mentioned there a lot of the things about how you're recruiting at the college level, and Tavo, you're scouting to go and recruit players at the USL level. When you're recruiting player for the pro level, what are you looking for?
A lot comes from the coaching staff. So something that I have learned is the analyst is a support staff for the coaching staff. Even if I like a player, I cannot make the last decision. So what I look is, first, beginning of the year, I have a conversation with the coach. What's the methodology that he wants to implement in the team? In El Paso was a lot different than Rhode Island. In El Paso, we were a team that was possession-oriented. We want to have the ball. So you have to have the profiles that help us succeed in that level. And the coach has, in the pro level, the coaches have very specific profile. I remember last year when I got there, because I got a little later, the team was almost full. They were asking for, we were a possession team, but like in a possession, you need someone that can break the play. So we need a 6 that is a break player, that can be a wall. So then you look, go talk to agents, watch other USL teams. watch highlights that they send you, and it's a lot coming to play, because then you have to talk to the club, you have to talk to the agents, the coach have to agree. Then I don't know a little bit about behind the front office, because that's not my job, but then there is a lot of things that have to fall into place for us to sign a player. And in Rhode Island is also, again, the methodology that the coach wants to find. Here I would say we are more like direct play, so we need a 9 that can hold the ball. We need center backs that can play a perfect ball into the 9. We need 6s that can win second balls. We need fullbacks that can get in behind. So it comes a lot with the coaching staff. What are they looking for? Because I might want a player, but they're like, no, this doesn't work for the team.
And you both mentioned, I want to talk about this topic too of agents, because I think it's important. Like, I'm an agent, we're an agency. I feel like I used an agency to get to America. I know both of you guys use an agency to get to America. You're both using agents to recruit players. And I think there's this like stereotype around agents, that there's good agents, there's bad agents. Do I need an agent? Do I not need an agent? Maybe it's different at the college and the pro level, like Bruno. To a player, what are the benefits of having an agent, and how do I know if this agent is good or bad?
Yeah, the first thing I always do with the agents, I like setting up a call, more like a video call, because you can look into the coach, right? And we can talk a little bit about my program, right? What our colleges, our benefits, what we're looking for, what type our players are looking for, because there are a lot of like agents that just say, hey, we have a player for you that we think they're going to be a very good profile, but they never watched our game, so how they know that they're going to be a good fit for us? So I like talking to the agents and say that's what we're looking for, and those agents start sharing the profiles, and then it's like, okay, I really like this player, but let's talk more a little bit about their background in football, everything. And then when we recruit the player, they do a good job, but also like a good teammate, and like help like our team success.
So as a coach, it's interesting, because from a player's perspective, you want an agent that's obviously like well connected, that's going to help you, that's going to get you things. But from a coach's perspective, also, like, what does a coach want from an agent when sending players?
I mean, that's something that really depends what we're focusing on. If we're looking to players with like all the positions, like we're open to see all the profiles. But for example, for the next season, we're looking to recruit more like very, very specific. We're looking for a 9 that can hold the ball very well and connects passes with our wingers, or like center backs. They're good 1v1s, but also can build out from the back. So we're very specific. So when those agents send a profile, that's something that I really like.
Why do you need an agent? Why can't you just recruit yourself?
It's so much easier because of the trust, right? They have like a lot of connections with the coaches, and they text us right away, hey, I have a player here for you.
For example, you need a striker. So if you don't have an agent, because like, why do you need an agent? Why don't you just go to MLS, ECNL, you go to a showcase in Boston? Like, why do you need an agent?
Now, it's more like it should build that trust, right? Because the agent already know the player, and if I already know the agent, right, I have that trust with him, and I know they're gonna send the right profile for me.
But why can't you just find a player yourself? Why do you need an agent?
I mean, it really depends. Like I do kind of both, right? I would say like guys that are playing overseas, it's very key having an agent.
Yeah, because you can't go everywhere.
Yes. Here in the US, I could go to some showcase and watch them and start recruiting directed. But if we have an agent already with those American players, we have a good recommendation as well, so we feel more comfortable for that to recruit those.
I asked you because it's interesting, because like at the Division 1 level, you see all the coaches going to like MLS Next Fest and all the ECNL tournaments, and like they go a lot, right? But like for a D3 school or a D2 school or an NAIA school, they don't have the budget to go to these showcase tournaments, so they use an agent because they have access to all of these players, you know. And then Tavo, I guess, I mean, you're not really dealing with agents specifically because you're not doing the recruiting, but at the professional level, how important is having an agent for a player?
I think it comes, soccer today is global, you know, it's all over the world. I don't have the time to watch games in Malaysia, for example, or Vietnam, and we see all these transfers happening around the world. So I think having an agent that you trust, as Bruno said, is important to develop trust first. But then they give you, it's a resource, they give you access to like global markets that you don't have access. Like nowadays we have Y Scout. But how do I know a player in like the USL? I'm going to put an example in the USL. There are a lot of recruitings from Norway, from Finland, from those Nordic countries. I don't have the time to watch all those games. So then you have to find an agent, again, that you trust, that can be a resource for us, okay, to find good players. Because then it's also important to develop the trust, but also for the agent it's important for them because we work together, you know. If he doesn't send me a good player, then I don't trust him anymore. So it's also a work together.
What are the differences between players at Division 1 and in the USL?
That's a great question. I think a lot comes from the mentality. The USL players, most of them, or at least from when I was El Paso in Royal, and I haven't developed that relationship yet. In El Paso, most of them play college, and when you have the conversations with them, they told me, you know what, I wasn't the best on my team. Where I always train in the summer, find resources to get better, to get stronger. So I think a lot comes from the mentality, but also again to be a professional soccer player and get paid from soccer, there is a lot of things that you can control.
So you what kind can you? What do you mean?
Well, like let's say a good player, it's playing somewhere, but then you need the contacts, the agent, or someone, the right person to watch you at the right moment, I would say.
Does it? Because this might be a personal question, but if I was involved in a USL team, I'm well retired. I would never be a pro soccer player. But sometimes I'm like, I watch back our UNH game sometime, or I see pictures on my phone. I'm like, fuck, I miss that. Like, I wish I was playing that level.
Me too.
You're involved in that every day. Does it ever upset you that you're not a pro soccer player?
It does. It does many times. And I think it's also good, as Bruno said, when you make the transition, it's important to be good with yourself, that you are now in this side. You are a coach, you are staff, you are not a player anymore.
So you're more like grateful that you're still involved?
Yes, I'm grateful. But I miss it so much.
What do you miss about playing?
You know, coming into the locker room, have fun with the guys, the trips, having fun, making some jokes. The feeling of like scoring a goal, running into the corner and make a celebration. The nervousness before the game, it's a top game today. I need to warm up well, and then the first ball I touch, I feel good. So those feelings that you don't really get once you are out of soccer.
And Bruno, when you're involved, because when you're coaching or playing, do you ever miss playing football?
Right now, I don't miss anymore for only one reason, right? So because I didn't deserve to be a professional player, when I was at UNH, we had opportunities to go out, to drink, but we had to perform every day. I was going out, I was having fun. We had teammates like Yannick Bright, Moise Bombito. Their mentality was a different level. They were just there to play football, right? They were just there to get their degrees, play a good college soccer. Look where they are right now. One playing with Messi for Inter Miami, going for his third season. The other one playing Nice, League 1 in France.
But you lived with Yannick, so why didn't you have that mentality?
I mean, I had that mentality when I was training, but you had a lot of opportunities to get to meet a lot of people, and I was very weak with that. I was like, yes, I want to go out, I want to have fun. That was my mistake in terms with going for a pro mentality, right? I'm gonna say I don't regret anything that I did. I had a lot of fun, but in terms, I became realistic. I was like, yes, I didn't deserve to be a professional player. So I understood that right now as a coach, I gotta guide the players to do things that I didn't do, So I'm gonna tell the player right away. So if you wanna play a higher level one day, because most of the D3 players, they have a dream to play D1 one day. It's very hard. It's not impossible. We had players in the past that played for D3, went D1, got drafted, are playing good level of football right now. But it's more, you gotta have the right mindset. You gotta go, you gotta focus, you gotta do extra training, you gotta develop, and you gotta have a good season. and then maybe you're gonna have an opportunity to play Division 1, right?
So the players that go from D3 to D1, because there's a lot of players that now, like especially now with the transfer portal, like you want to go D3, get in, perform, go well, go to D1. The characteristics you see of a player transferring from D3 to D1, like why would that happen? What do I need to do at D3 to go D1?
You gotta have the right mindset, right? You gotta have a good stats. You gotta be a very outstanding player, because one thing that happens with college soccer, you can be a top D3 player, but when you go to D1, you're just gonna be like another guy on the team, right? Because D1, a lot of guys from overseas, a lot of from Americans are the best players in the world coming to college soccer.
You know what I want to ask you actually? I think I had this conversation with you before. Recruiting international players is easier than recruiting a domestic American player.
For my college, so much easier.
Why?
Because players, they just want to come to America to play football. That's right. They want to get a degree, and they want to have a good relationship with the coach. So they come here for the environment. The American players, they all think they can go G1. So when we start recruiting those players, sometimes they kind of ignore us, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna play G1. They end up not getting offers. That's when they come back to us, but that's late, and we already recruited those international players.
And you don't want someone who doesn't want to be there.
We don't want to bring someone that is not like full commitment. We want someone that is gonna come to our program, know the reality, know the facilities that we have. We don't have the same facilities as Division 1, so they're gonna go there to have a good experience as a student athlete. That's our main focus on like recruiting.
And when you're bringing in players in the USL, what do you see are the best players that are the most successful? Like, to be successful as a professional footballer in the USL, what do you need to do?
Well, a lot comes from the mentality too, but I think in the USL is a league that comes a lot with physicality. You need to be strong first, because most of the teams, most of the players are very strong physically.
It's very direct
and strong and second balls, and that's why a lot of players that come overseas, they struggle. You see, I remember last year I was talking to the analyst from, I'm not gonna say the name, but one team, they recruit a player from Norway, and in Norway he had amazing stats, fantastic stats, top scorer for the team. During the year, in the fall and in the spring, they thought the USL was going to be a great environment for him to develop and then go to MLS. That was the goal, and he didn't. He struggled exactly with what I said, with physicality. So, and also I think the players overseas, they think as same as me, and I think Bruno, they think the USL and the league is going to be easy. I have talked to many agents from South America that they have told me that for them the USL, sending players to the USL mostly is like for them to disappear, and for the clubs in South America, and when they come they find out that it's not as easy as they thought that it was going to be.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, US soccer is growing, right? Like they're bringing like players like from everywhere, and I think the American players as well are becoming so much better right now.
Do you, so on your roster, Bruno?
Yes.
What would make you? Because I'm trying to think, like Division 3 school, like recruiting an American player. Like, do you have to play MLS next? Do you have to play ECNL?
I mean, if a player is good, no matter what level they're playing, right? If we believe they're gonna fit with our system, so I can use an example. A guy that never played MLS next, never played ECNL. We watched the player in just like a random friendly game, and he was very good. It was like, oh, this guy's kind of quick, like can kind of like adapt very well with college soccer. Came into our freshman year, played most of the games. That's something that we found this player in the middle of nowhere, and right now he's been one of our best players. Instead of just going like, oh, we're gonna watch the best games here in the US, sometimes those players are not gonna fit with our system, so we're very specific.
How do I get ready to play college soccer?
How do you get ready? I think you need to have the right mentality and understand your sport as well. Most of the freshmen, it's very hard to come and play right away. I mean, we have some players that did that in the past, but they got to understand that it's step by step. If you're not playing at the beginning, it's not because that the coach doesn't like you, that's because you're not ready yet to play. So you need a time to developing, training with the team, and you start getting minutes, getting opportunities, right? But coming like from like a high school to come and play right away for a college team or playing MLS Next, ECNL, right? It's more like depends like how strong you are and how your understanding football is, because the speed of playing so much quicker, right? You gotta play very quick. You gotta understand that some teams that you're gonna be playing against, it's very directed football. So I know it's a pain in the ass, but the players gotta be able to deal with like air duels, like be strong on the ball, you know. So we need those type of players to play right away. But if they're not ready yet, we're gonna teach them and adapt with college soccer.
And what about the USL, Tavo? How? Because if I'm listening to this and I'm 16, 17 and I want to be a pro, how do I get ready to play in the USL?
I think everything that Bruno said is pretty much said everything. The mentality comes first, and understanding that there is a lot of things that you can control, and I think that is a main important thing. And another thing that I would say is stay healthy. Stay healthy. In the US, or at least that happened to me, a lot of injuries happened because I wasn't healthy. I wasn't ready to fight with the physicality, and a lot comes like when soccer moves so fast. So if you are injured, then you stop, and your teammates start getting stronger, getting faster. The season pass, and then you stay. So then it's so hard to mid-season stay healthy and come back to the same level that your teammates have. So I think comes from the mentality and staying healthy, and if you are good technically, that is gonna talk from yourself in the field.
And just lastly, Tavo, I wanted to ask you, what's the biggest lesson that you learned in your life from soccer? What has soccer taught you about your life?
I will say, well, I have two main ones. The first one is focus on what I can control, and I always I have developed this mindset of like I'm gonna control what I can and do my best all the time, give my best effort. No one is gonna give more effort than me. And I would say second one would be set up my values, like stay with my values forever. I'm gonna tell you why. So as you said, when I told you about corporate America, my value at that moment was to do something that makes me happy, and I qualify my values as I want to be in peace. Being in corporate America didn't give me the peace that I needed at that time. The money will come, that's for sure. You live in fancy cities, but then in soccer give me the peace that I wanted, that I want to work in soccer. So then staying with my values and don't break them, everything will fall into place if you keep going and keep doing things right.
What's your advice to work in soccer? Because a lot of people want to have your job. What's your advice to have a job in football?
Yeah. A lot of people text me on LinkedIn like, hey, do you have a position for me? And I told them like, listen, the thing that what I did, it was waiting 1 year working for no money, like going shadowing people, knowing people, asking, doing courses on my own, losing money, like not a fancy life at all. And then the position will come, and it's very important when the opportunity comes, you are ready for it. Because the opportunity will come. You will have one interview, maybe two. When that happens, you need to be ready. And that comes because you were hungry before to keep working at the same pace and understanding that the position is going to open. You're going to be ready for that.
This is something I really like what Tavo says, because it's the same when you're playing like a high school level and you have like a tryout, right? So you gotta be ready for that moment. So that's something, if you're not ready, you're not gonna get that job. So Tavo had experience, we're making sacrifice, right? Because that's his goal, he's passionate about football. Look where he is right now. He has a job, what he really wants, and he's doing a really good job. So this is more like a advice for players as well. When they have a tryout, they gotta be ready for that moment to take that spot and show to the coach that you deserve that spot. You gotta earn it. So that's something kind of related when you're a footballer, but also in life as well.
What are you, Bruno, just lastly, what are you most grateful for in your life that soccer has brought you?
I mean the friendships, like the networking I have been creating football, like something that is really, really good, and I love that, yeah.
What's your biggest piece of advice to a young footballer that wants to be successful?
Have the right mentality, right? So always focus on soccer. Don't put too much pressure, because you gotta enjoy the game as well. But that's something that if you really want to be a Division 1 soccer player, look to the mirror and see what you're doing different from the other players to achieve that. That's something that you're doing extra training. Are you like playing very well? Are you developing? And then if you don't get that spot, at least you tried, right? But you cannot wait for opportunities. You cannot like sit here in your couch is like, yeah, I'm gonna get like a Division 1 offer. You gotta do something different from the other players. So always focus, have positivity, right? And go take it, right? Like be like ball hungry, right?
Amazing.
That's something that I would tell the players.
Amazing. Guys, thank you so much. That was amazing. Amazing
Thank you,
podcast,
Sammy.
amazing conversation.
Man, as you said, 4 years ago we were drinking in Libis and now we're here.
4 years ago,
Oh,
it's not the
yeah.
same conversation. I'll tell you that.
No, same conversation.
Thank you,
But
guys.
thank you so much, Sam. It was a great time to you, and
Thank you.
I wish you all the best.
Cheers, guys. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Amazing.